Eye on Gauteng, brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Dinokeng, loosely translated, it means the place of rivers. However, this piece of real estate will be known as Gauteng's very own Big Five territory. It's a stone's throw away from the urban hustle and bustle of the province. It will become a gem of a tourist attraction in the years to come.
So we've been up from the crack of dawn, and the mission for today was to look for one of the Big Five within the Dinokeng Game Reserve. And guess what? We've actually seen rhinoceros. And joining me right now is Mr. Dumisani. He's the acting program manager at the Game Reserve. Dumisani, thank you very much for your time.
Merci beaucoup.
I think a good place to start would be the plan and the what the Gauteng government set out to achieve with the creation of such a development like Dinokeng.
You know, the first thing that you've got to consider is just imagine 120 years ago, when men did not interfere with nature in what is now Gauteng. The purpose of doing this is to ensure that, one, we restore Gauteng and its natural habitat back to what it was more than 100 years ago. When the provincial government got to make a full study of the Gauteng economic landscape, one of the things that was quite clear was that this area was economically depressed. Agriculture was unsustainable. There was the land mass was just not suitable to do anything else. And the recommendation that got made from that study was that ecotourism is the lifeblood of this area. The Dinokeng project got born out of that study to say the best that the government can do to support and grow the local economy in this area is to invest in ecotourism. We then, over the years, decided to do three major projects. One is the development of the town of Cullinan as a tourism attraction. The second one is to use the water features around the Roodeplaat Dam, again to develop tourism. And the third one, which we are seeing right now, is the development of Gauteng's first and only free-roaming game reserve, which is a Big Five game reserve. And the purpose really is to partner local businesses to attract domestic and international investment into the area and to ensure that the growth of these three areas provide the employment and job creation and alleviation of poverty in the area.
How does a development like the Dinokeng Game Reserve work?
What we've done is to partner with the local landowners and agreed that the local landowners are going to pull down their fences. Government is going to invest in the perimeter fences of the reserve. We're going to invest in common infrastructure, like actually ensuring that there are gates and stuff like that. And the landowners will be fenced where they have their own private residential properties or they've got lodges. We will fence those off for their own protection, but more importantly, for the protection of the animals. And that really is how it goes. Government buys the game that you see. We invest in common infrastructure, and the rest is as God and nature intended it to be.
We've learned how the area was primarily an agricultural one. That means there are still residents that live here. For the game reserve to work, a massive buy-in from its residents would result in the development we see here today.
For an establishment like Dinokeng to make sense, a lot of people had to sort of give up their land or to pull together land and make this project a possibility. Now, joining us now is Charles Pretorius. He's from the Land Owners Association. Charles, thank you very much for your time.
Great, thanks. Nice being here.
Right, so is that what really happened? Landowners, individual landowners said, okay, fine, let's put our fences down for the greater good of this project that we are going to have eventually, the Dinokeng Game Reserve.
Yeah, that was it, Lionel. Government approached us as private landowners and asked us to participate. And currently the first phase that you view today is 18,500 hectares of about 300 properties that opened up, creating the first phase of the Dinokeng Game Reserve. Obviously introducing Big Five is the critical factor to attract tourists to Gauteng, and to have free roaming elephant and lion you need a property bigger than 10,000 hectares. It was it's a negotiation phase, sometimes challenging, convincing everybody to basically commit to the project.
Charlie, you spoke about the various phases of the development of the DGR, the Dinokeng Game Reserve. What phase are we in now, and what are the phases going forward?
The next phase would be product development. Now that we've got Big Five, basically 30 minutes from urban Gauteng, the next phase would be to develop more lodges, day visitor centres, and to accommodate the first night in Africa in a day. And also our Gauteng community has basically got now access to nature within 30 minutes from town.
Mm-hmm. I'm really fascinated about the animals, Charles. How did you get the animals here?
Elephant was basically introduced from Hoedspruit, which is in Mpumalanga, close to Kruger. There's a herd of 10 elephant that has been repatriated up here. It was a donation to the project. Lions from Pilansberg and Madikwe was also brought in. It's approximately 8 lions, the first introduction phase. There's more lions due shortly. Currently we also got 2 cheetah free roaming, which is the first in Gauteng to have free roaming cheetah. All of the Big Five are collared, specifically the dangerous like your elephant, your lion, are collared so one can monitor their moves, like a satellite tracking device fit into the collar. There's also been rhino and then recently buffalo also introduced into the project. In terms of plains game, like I mentioned, there was a lot of game farms existing and lodges, and basically those game was purchased by the Gauteng government, and basically all fences dropped and opened up.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of sustainability, conservation and ecotourism is really the way to go, and so that our children and our grandchildren will be able to see what it is that we're enjoying today. What initiatives of conservation or in conservation have the Dinokeng Game Reserve done so far?
I would say there's a strong emphasis on environmental education. We've got various camps and products catering for environmental education, leadership camps that are presented in this type of environment, which adds value to it. Then also currently there's a lot of community initiatives, community development initiatives where, like ourselves, Kualata is reaching out into the community in terms of entrepreneurial development. I think you'll visit some of the projects later today, and also developing art hub in the community, building of an old age home, and there's been various initiatives. But I think the most important thing is the process we're busy with, and that's also to secure the partnership with the community in the game reserve, because this model was structured so that community will benefit. I think it's actually a first for conservation that has been done in Africa, where you would like the community to be the caretaker and to feel as a participant, where I think the previous conservation models was we're keeping it for the future generation or for some that can afford it. Where I think what's nice about this product, it's very accessible to the man on the street, to a school from Soshanguve to Sandton. There's products which is affordable, and I think also in terms of us as participating product owners, I mean, we share in that passion and vision, so that this is an accessible product for the broader population of Gauteng.
The Dinokeng Game Reserve is generally a very good project and one that the Gauteng government is very proud of. But how does it work, and is it financially viable? Joining me now is Peter Fenter. He's a general manager of the Dinokeng Game Reserve. Peter, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
So what is the financial viability of such a project?
Obviously, the Dinokeng Game Reserve is a work in progress, and we aim to achieve financial viability, self-sustainability by 2016-2017. We have put various programs in place now to beef up the income of the game reserve. Our gateways will be in full operation in a month's time. We're also starting with a donor campaign, creating a Friends of Dinokeng campaign where we hope to get a lot of contributions by the public in general. But also there's various other ways and means like levies that landowners pay. There's the government's contribution, which is very important to us. And we also hope to get the city of Tshwane on board quite soon to also contribute financially to the sustainability of the game reserve.
I'd like to know a little bit more about the sustainability efforts of the Dinokeng Game Reserve. This is something that undoubtedly you would like to see in the next 20, 30, 50 years from now. How are you going to make sure that this project remains sustainable in the years to come?
Well, there's obviously one aspect that we would like to see change, and that is the fact that as a management association responsible for the overall well-being of the game reserve, we don't own land. Like in Kruger, where Kruger owns its own land, they can put up their own camps and generate their own income. We don't have that. So we're walking towards a situation where we can acquire land that will belong to the stakeholders in general. That will be one of the ways to add additional income to the game reserve. We don't want to burden the stakeholders with a lot of levies. So we have to really gear up the financial machine and prospects to create financial sustainability.
Okay, let's talk about the fact that government are also landowners on the project, and you also have private landowners at the same time. How are you able to manage that in terms of two different landowners with two different agendas? Private sector want to make money, government have their own responsibilities and priorities.
It is a sensitive management issue, but I think so far the association with government is a very cordial one, and Dinokeng Projects, which forms part of Gauteng Tourism Authority, liaises on a daily basis with the Dinokeng Management Association. We share ideas, we share problems, we share achievements, and I think that is the way we continue to build a relationship with government on a daily basis.
The influx of tourists provide local entrepreneurs with the opportunity for marketing their goods and services. This pair of businessmen run a roaring trade close to one of the gates that lead into the reserve.
I started my business in 2004 at my house. I started working at this place in 2008. I was encouraged by Mr. Shalmared to set up my business here. He advised me to plant indigenous plants in 2008. As you can see, we have different kind of indigenous plants here. I would say business has grown a lot. I have about 3 years of working here. The tourists of Dinokeng support our business, and the business has picked up a lot because of that.